Hello everyone, with Ryzen on the way, I wanted to discuss about my views on AMD's upcoming CPUs and how successful they may be. I'm excited about the prospects of competition in the CPU market, especially since it's been almost the same amount of time since Battlefield 2 released, that AMD has had a properly competitive CPU architecture. After 2006, AMD has been in a slow downward spiral, taking the former graphics developer ATI with it after purchasing them in 2006. The now as named Radeon Technology Group graphics division has proved itself with over 10 years of successful graphics processors. However, like AMD's fight with Intel, AMD has a desperate but never-ending battle against graphics rival Nvidia. The key difference is AMD's graphics division continues to be profitable, and last year's Polaris architecture struck a major chord with consumers by the age-old model of having excellent performance and features at a very nice value. Like Polaris, Ryzen will be about this ratio of giving customers a massive boiling point of capability that is easy on the wallet. This is not the first time AMD has done this. In fact, it's the only way they've kept themselves alive, as Intel in general has possessed superior processing per clock on all fronts, better efficiency, and of course the vast majority of the market since they launched Conroe, aka the Core 2 Duo in 2006. Ryzen in a way is more of the same, except it's the return to big core design, after the disaster that was Bulldozer and most of its iterations. While the module design with small integer cores sharing FPU resources actually has some merits to it, it simply wasn't the right configuration for a market that needed more powerful individual cores as opposed to many smaller ones. There were some good Bulldozer-derived products like the APUs, notably Kaveri with its vast on-processor graphics array, but the APUs inherited Bulldozer's deficiencies and still lacked Intel's lead in manufacturing processes and in turn power efficiencies crucial for certain segments of the computing market. AMD sold their APUs and CPUs alike for thinner profit margins to maintain any kind of demand, and AMD would often end up having to put them in cheaper products, which damaged their image in the eyes of both general consumers and tech enthusiasts. Also, whereas AMD's APUs continue to receive incremental updates, neither the server or desktop-only Bulldozer-based CPU lines have seen any major changes since 2012. These are 32nm chips, mind you, bringing their power consumption and heat with them. The incentive for these processors has been very cheap prices, the FX6000 CPUs being noteworthy for their popularity. Also, I will say that it hasn't been until very recently that software, games especially, were taking advantage of all the resources in these massively multi-threaded chips. 8 threads is a lot to design a game around, and being so relatively weak against big cores and Intel CPUs did not bode well at all. Being opposite of this, Zen architecture used for Ryzen is about delivering a huge core that can challenge Intel, be scalable across a large number of cores, but remain efficient. Part of this means using FinFET 14nm process technology, finally gaining almost manufacturing parity with Intel for the first time in over half a decade. If the rumors and leaks are true, Ryzen's performance will be within ballpark distances of Intel's recent generations of Core i-series processors, if not meeting them and at a better price. Two-way multi-threading per core will be featured on every Ryzen product, unlike Intel, who charges you quite a bit for when going from an i5 to an i7. Ryzen will be shipping in 4, 6, and 8 core variants. The 4-core versions are hopefully native quad-core dies, while hexacores I expect to be harvested octa-core dies. Disabled chip components can still be a source of current leakage, why I wouldn't want to sell chips lacking half their functionality when I could theoretically just make native quads and make that many more per wafer. Now, as far as I can tell, Ryzen CPUs will not have any form of integrated graphics like the majority of Intel products or AMD's own APUs. These are strictly CPUs with dedicated graphics required unless the new AM4 motherboards and their chipsets feature some sort of onboard GPU. This is both expected and yet unexpected. A small IGP would have its use, but realistically the savings are passed to consumers, as you will not be wasting any money on an anemic IGP that goes unused and a waste of die space that you're paying for. Ryzen is aimed towards desktop gamers, power users, and enthusiasts that know that they need real dedicated graphics to achieve the experience Ryzen is made to help deliver. I can even see Ryzen making an appearance in some very high-end gaming and workstation laptops. It wouldn't be the first time desktop CPUs have made their appearance in mobile devices. The Hex and octa-core Ryzen CPUs I think will strike a very major chord in the market, and force Intel to scramble by cutting prices to their top-end consumer chips. The market is salivating for cheaper high-end multi-core processors beyond the typical 4 cores available. However, I think the real meat of sales could be the 4-core Ryzen CPU. I see it becoming the new value performance champion. Lower-end gamers who still use Core i3s, AMD FX 4000s, and APUs will finally have a proper quad-core to replace these products at a similar price while doubling the performance or even better. The rumor mill already is pointing to Intel slashing some prices and prepping special variants of their processors to draw away the spotlight from AMD. But I think that even AMD haters are hoping for renewed competition in the stagnant market, as Intel has strict control over this market. Components and computers are cheaper than ever, but Intel has very little incentive to truly push the limits beyond a basic perceived yearly improvement. However, Intel does have a stake in AMD's success, because if AMD fails in their endeavor, leaving Intel the only real x86 chipmaker, it would open Intel up to direct intervention by the Federal Trade Commission, because they would effectively become a monopoly. Pure and simple, things are going to get interesting whether AMD succeeds or fails, but my bets are on Ryzen being a major success, fueling ongoing AMD efforts in bringing Zen architecture to APUs, massively large server chips, and of course supporting the Radeon technology group that keeps AMD's head above water. Now, whether or not I'm going to get a Ryzen CPU in the future is up in the air. I'm pretty happy with my i5 4690K. If I'm going to invest a large amount of money in anything, it'll be a new graphics card. I'll eventually want to upgrade though, and it would be to consumers and to my advantage to have 2 worthwhile CPU vendors again, much like the late 90s to early 2000s. A $300 19 octa-core Ryzen processor, as stated in the leaked launch lineup, is an insanely disruptive product to the status quo, assuming it meets the hype. That was just some quick thoughts on Ryzen on my part. Oh, I do want to say how stupid the Ryzen name is. I wish AMD had just kept it Zen. It would have been so easy to market and more simple for consumers to understand. I mean, come on, Ryzen? It's like the guys at Crytek are running the show at AMD. They really need a new marketing team. Jesus Christ.